Awesome. And Alberta needs this. Don't you agree? We need this opportunity. We need these products. But I want to welcome everybody. Good morning, good evening, and welcome. My name is Rena Chong, and I'm the Canadian Master Distributor. And it has been a blessing for me to be introduced to Dr. Rajan in 2016. I'm so happy I said yes. And if you're on this call, then you made the right decision as well. So welcome, everyone. I hope everyone had a happy Easter. And I just want to say how proud I am of everyone, because I'm getting so many messages that you made the effort to minimize or cut out all carbs during the holiday. And I know that's tough to do, but with Emulin, we are creating a healthier and improved lifestyle. So just know that there are no fad diets here, and we are backing you up for the long run. And you know, because of the work that each of you are doing out there, we're able to share the wealth of health education so that families can pass this to their children, so that people can earn additional income, so that people can fulfill their dreams. And as we continue to help people share and educate, how amazing that it gets us closer to our very own dreams. So when we put people first, when we serve others wholeheartedly, only then will we manifest our own desires. And the testimonies of the life-changing and life-enhancing experiences are literally off the charts. And I think we've even impressed ourselves as a company. And it's all because we have linked arms and we're doing the business with 100% authenticity by truly caring for people. And our CEO's motto is people helping people. Before I bring our speakers on, I just want to share some personal news with you because I'm so excited. There has been a small group that has tested out a 7-day weight loss survey around Emulin, and people have lost around 5 to 12 pounds in the first week. And of course, I have to walk the talk, and today I reached my goal. I haven't been at the weight I am today since I was in my 20s, and I just turned 40 last year, and I've tried every fad diet, every shake, every magic pill. And I just want to let you know that Emulin truly does what it says and then some. So with the right eating habits, you can crush summer too and, feel incredible. And the benefits of Emulin that we haven't focused on much lately is the weight management of it. So I'm so excited. Not only are people losing weight, but they're finding that the health issues they are having or had are more manageable, and for some even minimized. So thank you again for taking your business seriously and joining us for a very special call tonight. Also moving forward, if you haven't marked it in your calendar yet, every second week, you will hear from our CEO and one of the scientists and other special guest speakers on our company, our product updates, upcoming events, and the future of our company. And we just want to make sure that everyone is in the loop. And tonight's subject is Emulin E, the world's first patented and natural carbohydrate manager that does so much more than just that. And I'll let the doctors and the experts tell you about that. But every day that we wake up is another day we are born and another day to help more people. And this vehicle, this opportunity would not be possible without our dedicated CEO and co-founder who's got a heart of gold, Dr. Rajan, who you'll hear from first. And then we're going to hear from our 2-time Nobel Prize nominated scientist and inventor of Igalin's flagship product, Dr. Joe Ahrens. Dr. Rajan, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Rena. Hi, good evening, Rena.
We can't hear you.
Oh, I hear him great.
Yeah, I can hear him as well, Rena.
Okay, I think we just have some technical difficulties.
Yeah, Jana says she can hear me.
There we go.
Go by a stream, and it's like
got it.
The earth and water. You know what I mean? Earth gives water a place to travel. It gives water a foundation.
Okay, just one
and water
second.
Gives earth.
There's a background.
You guys hear? Yes, I can hear something. Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rajan, for committing to us and for all the hard work you and your team do around the clock. We really, really appreciate you and your vision. And the stage is all yours.
Okay, good evening, Rina. Good evening, North America. And good morning, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand. First of all, I wish you all a happy belated Easter. I hope you time with family and friends, and I hope you watch your cards. Congrats, Rina, on your success with your 7-day program. I've been following it, and I'm very supportive, and I'm glad you've reached your youngest ever weight since your 20s. Well done. I just heard, Jana, happy birthday, belated again, and everybody else, welcome to the call. I don't want to take so much time. I want to launch straight away and introduce Dr. Joseph Milton Ahrens, the co-inventor of Emulin, 2-time Nobel Prize nominee. He's been very busy doing lots of stuff. We've got him here in this call so we can get everybody on the same page with respect to Emulin. I met Dr. Joe 4 years ago. He had then discovered Emulin, which he called the world's first carbohydrate manager. He's going to talk a lot more about it today, so I'll leave him to do that. He also talked about Emulin being a vitamin, and he'll talk more about that today too. And of course, he's been talking about making Emulin better with Emulin E, with gallic acid. And again, I'm sure he'll talk more today about that too. Dr. Joe, over to you.
Yes, everybody hear me fine?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm really glad to be here. This is my first call with the whole group at one time. I'm really glad that you started this forum so that we can have, communication within the group. I didn't know it had been 4 years since I have known you. That's time, it really does fly. And I thank you very much for being the leader you are of the group as well. We have become friends. And, always there's a saying that don't do business with your friends. But, I don't want to do business with anyone that couldn't become my friend. And we have become friends. So I thank you for bringing me into this Ahrens group. It was when we first got an idea about Emulin, it was around 2002. And we eventually defined Emulin as a carbohydrate manager in around 2007. We did tens of thousands of individual studies on different flavonoids. And at the time, we were focused on blood sugar and weight management. There's a one-to-one correlation on high blood sugar. You're going to have an overweight condition. And our first thoughts were that we have discovered a group of flavonoids that is in plants that have a high sugar load, and their job was to be consumed along with the sugar, and nature would then manage the carbohydrates for you. It's very similar to the fact that we need vitamin D in order to manage calcium. And so, most milk products carry vitamin D, so the calcium will be managed properly in your body. Without vitamin D, just taking calcium doesn't do you any good. And we at first thought, we've discovered a group of compounds that are necessary to manage carbohydrates. Now, that is still true. Emulin manages carbohydrates. But, we came out with this product in 2010. We further refined it. And then after some years, we met the Ahrens group. Now we're in 2014. And we didn't just sit still. We kept testing, kept trials. And it's been very recently that we have actually come to the idea that actually these problems like obesity and diabetes and all these other problems that we're having, they are actually flavonoid deficiency disease. In other words, without this group of flavonoids that we discovered, you will develop these diseases. That's where the diabetes come from. It's not because specifically that carbohydrates are mismanaged and then you can end up with diabetes. The diabetes is actually a symptom. The underlying disease, we feel now, and there's conclusive evidence, is flavonoid deficiency disease. And I want to coin that term, flavonoid deficiency disease. And that disease is solved by taking in enough flavonoids. The problem is you can't get enough in your diet. It's impossible. Even if you ate correctly, there are no longer enough flavonoids in modern day fruits and vegetables. Now that's for two reasons. One of them is that we have bred them out by accident. We did not know about them. It's very similar in the citrus industry. Everyone knows that citrus is a source of vitamin C. And it's the best way to get your vitamin C. If you can take an orange or a glass of orange juice, you'll get your daily dose of vitamin C. But over the years, as industry developed prettier oranges, sweeter oranges, more juicy oranges, more flavorful oranges, they forgot about the vitamin C. And it over the years started to drop until one day it was recognized, wait a second, we're forgetting about vitamin C. So we bred vitamin C back into the oranges, and they now are still a good source of vitamin C. In the case of these flavonoids, up until recently, and even today, it's not recognized the role that these flavonoids play in your diet and how they are necessary for health. And so we've bred these fruits and vegetables and we've neglected the flavonoids, so that even in the best ones we have available, like blackberries and currants, dark grapes, pineapples, there's not a lot of flavonoid in there anymore. Even the fruit that has the most flavonoid, which is a muscadine grape, by the way, you would have to eat 5 kilos every day to get enough of these flavonoids. 5 kilos every day. You just can't do it. It's impossible. The second problem in our diets today is we've refined them out through the foods that we eat, even though we try to be careful. The flavonoids and vitamins are refined out. They're processed out. So we have two big problems going for us. They're not available to begin with very much. And secondly, those that are there have been refined out in most cases, if you have any type of processed food. So that leaves us in a flavonoid deficient state, a flavonoid deficient disease. And the symptoms of that disease are these things such as being overweight, having arthritis, having diabetes. So we have this flavonoid deficient disease. What are we going to do about that? Well, we need to supplement the diet. Just to have good health. This is not like we have found something that helps our problems. A lot of these things that you hear about that help you with your mental acuity or your being overweight, they are exotic products that don't talk about the basic problem, which is we don't get enough of these flavonoids. Therefore, we have a flavonoid deficient state, flavonoid deficient disease, which the symptoms are these problems that you've been hearing about. I know many of you have experienced some remarkable changes from taking these flavonoids, Emulin. You know, it is remarkable. We get 2 or 3 every week that are outstanding. People saying, I'm walking the first time in 10 years. Or, you know, I no longer have any bladder issues, or my arthritis has gone away. I've lost weight, just as Rena said, I'm losing weight. So we're not tackling these specific symptoms. We're really tackling the underlying problem is that your metabolism, every human, every mammal actually, which includes pets, need these flavonoids. We were grown up together. By that, I mean, we have evolved together. This is the way God has intended this. Either God made this, evolved it. It doesn't matter how you look at this. We were made, created at the same time that berries came on the scene. We evolved along with berries, and our bodies took what berries had to offer and developed our metabolism that depend on these flavonoids. It's just like any other vitamin. We depend on vitamin D from the sun. We depend on vitamin C from plants and vitamin E from plants and fishes. We get these chemicals, these natural formulas from nature. And our body has built itself around them. It depends on them. It's not something extra that we're adding in. So we grew up over these thousands of years that our body depends on these flavonoids. Now, what is particularly different about Emulin? Because if there are flavonoids in every product, so what's the big deal? How come you have patents? How come you were nominated for these prizes? It's because we searched the whole plant kingdom and looked at tens of thousands of these flavonoids. Yes, there are that many of them. And we found a group of them that are the best that nature has to offer. So they are natural, completely natural, but they do not occur together in any singular fruit or vegetable. You can't find the components of Emulin by eating a particular fruit or vegetable. You'd have to get all of them, as I mentioned, you'd have to eat those 5 kilos of those grapes, but then you'd also have to eat 5 kilos of onions and 12 liters of tea or coffee to get what is in Emulin. So we did this at first with computer modeling. We actually took the molecules themselves and built a program that acted like the human body, and we tested these different flavonoids in this computer program until we came up with what we thought was the optimum flavonoids. And then we did some animal studies. We actually did them at first using rats that were type 1 diabetic. And then using that, we worked on the ratio and the quantities. And then we did a study with type 2 diabetic humans. And then a few years later, recently, we did a study with people that did not have diabetes, but were just a regular population. And of course, in that regular normal population, there were plenty of overweight people. And this showed that our original theory was correct, that these are necessary for good health. But on top of that, it showed us that we are exactly on the mark with which flavonoids need to be in this formula. I know a lot of you may not be particularly interested in what is actually in Emulin. I mean, as far as it's these different compounds, they sound scientific, but I'll tell you what they are. I don't mind. They're written out in the patents. They are myricetin, chlorogenic acid, quercetin, and gallic acid. And it's not just there's these 4 compounds in there, but the ratio between them. How much of that, what percent is myristotin and what percent is quercetin, etc. That was a very key critical point when we discovered the ratios, because our very first formula back in 2007, we had equal amounts of the flavonoids. And we found out right away that was the wrong approach, especially as we did the rat study. It's actually the ratio of myristotin to quercetin and the ratio of chlorogenic acid to gallic acid, etc. For the most of the time, we just had 3 of these compounds. And that was the first 3, myristotin, chlorogenic acid, and quercetin. And we recently have added gallic acid. Now, gallic acid is remarkable in itself because in nature, it was one of the very first flavonoids made. The first flavonoids made. Gallic acid along with rutin were the first of these natural molecules made by plants. And so as we were growing up with these plants, evolving with these plants, changing with these plants over the centuries, gallic acid was the first one that mammals used in their metabolism. And so we've captured that concept knowing, well, if these flavonoids, if we co-evolved with them, then where does gallic acid fit into there? And we had kind of neglected gallic acid until we added it to the formula and started studying it more. And it's been dynamite. Gallic acid just by itself helps your total mental system, the nervous system. It gives you clarity of thought. It keeps the nerves from firing too much. It's not a sedative, but it calms your system down so it can operate efficiently. It gives better sleep, and it is a very strong anti-inflammatory. It by itself is the best anti-inflammatory, but when coupled with these other 3, we've seen big changes and improved in the formulas. And they're all basically the same. Flavonoids are almost all the same, their basic structure, but they each are a little different. And so they work on a little bit different part of your system. And together, they do wonders. Our latest research has shown increased weight loss, which we did. We had some weight loss previously, but now we have increased weight loss. Also, reduction in body measurements. So even though some people may not experience dramatic weight loss, they lost fat and gained muscle. Their dress sizes and pant sizes shrunk. Their belt sizes would drop from 55 inches down into 40 inches. It was remarkable. Some 20% in just a month. Loss of size. That means the measurement around your arms and your thighs and your waist. And we were really surprised to see that change that quickly in 1 month. So we know we're on to some big, remarkable things happening here. I share these testimonials with my family because they want to know, how come you're working so long, and how come you're not going to bed, and how come you're traveling to Malaysia and next couple of months, what are you doing? Why are you doing all this? Well, these testimonials are why. And I know most of you have read them. You know what I'm talking about. They are heart-rending. And that's why I do it. And I'm very thankful that after these years, we finally joined up with a company like Emulin that has the ability to spread this word. It's not just, we didn't want to just take something, stick it on a shelf in Walmart and just wait for some sales. That was just the wrong approach. We need to share the story. It's remarkable. People are telling me, like this guy who got up out of the wheelchair, that just hasn't been able to walk because of arthritis in so long, and people that have heart issues and asthma, and it's remarkable. And again, we're not treating these diseases because they're really not diseases. They are just symptoms of the underlying problem, and that is that you're not getting enough of this in your diet, and you were intended by nature itself to have these in your diet. It's not like, there have been products on the market like melted glacial water. Well, we were never meant to drink melted glacial water. It surely could help people. I'm sure that it has vitamins and minerals in it that are good for you, but we weren't born to drink that. We actually, as a species, were born on the tropics. And that's where these flavonoids are coming from. Tropical fruits, basically. Coffee. They can get them from citrus, these dark grapes. That's where we grew up, and that's what we need. We're just not getting enough. I would like to tell you just a little bit more about our very latest research, because this was a study done in West Virginia of some 200 people, and it's lasted for over 3 months. And they were just a normal group of people in coal mining territory, so they did not have the best diet. They certainly did not have fresh fruits and vegetables readily available for them. But we had a doctor there that was concerned about his community. He found out about Emulin through his own personal experience, and he asked if we could do a test. He would run the test, and we agreed. We made the product for him. We shipped it in plain bottles so nobody knew what was in there. We shipped him placebos. That's just blank capsules with almost nothing in there, just a filler. And so nobody knew what any individual was getting. We broke these up into 2 groups. Half of them were on this placebo, which was just a blank capsule with filler in them, and the other half were on Emulin. And across the board, we had improvement. And everything that you could measure, everything, your weight, your blood pressure, your heartbeat, your blood sugar. People that were diabetic became non-diabetic. People that were starting to be diabetic got back to normal. It was quite remarkable. And it showed that our latest formula is doing a dynamite job. And we're not going to rest there. If I find any change that will help us, so you'll get a new formula. Right now, we have Emulin E for everyone. It's for diabetics. It's for people with heart problems. It's people for arthritis. It's for young people, old people. It doesn't matter who you are. It's just like asking somebody, do I need vitamin C? Of course you do. Everyone needs vitamin C. Everyone needs all the vitamins. That's why they're called vitamins. It means they're essential for life. Everyone needs it. Whether you have a disease symptom or if you think you're totally healthy, you need it. We were talking to a company that was interested in making some exercise products for us on another project. And so I told them that we have this Emulin that's available through iGalen. And these guys that ran this company were very healthy. It's a company that you all would know, but they were very healthy people. They were all into nature, natural foods and exercise, good diets. One of them was a long distance runner. The other guy, the head guy, was a bicycler, a cyclist. And so I said, everybody needs it. And they didn't believe me, but they tried it anyhow. And after a couple of months, they came back and said, I can't believe it. I'm healthy. And I used to run, 5 miles a day. I ran until I was tired or my knees started hurting and I quit. But running 5 miles a day is pretty healthy. But now I run 7 or 8 miles because I have so much more energy. I can feel it. I'm sleeping better. My knees don't hurt anymore. I don't get as tired for the same amount of carbs. I don't get as tired. So really, that's the story about Emulin, is that we have identified that there is such a thing as flavonoid deficiency disease. And Emulin is the best of the flavonoids to put in this position. So it's really lack of Emulin that is causing these diseases to show up. I'll say this to any doctor or researcher that wants to talk to me about it. This is a new vitamin.
It's Dr. Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Joe, that is brilliant. Thank you very much. Dr. Joe, I thought there was 2 or 3 powerful points there, and I would like you to re-emphasize them before we go to a Q&A. I'm sure there are about 100 people on the call who want to ask questions. I'm absolutely bowled over by this flavonoid deficiency syndrome. It's a very powerful idea. Would you then redefine diabetes as a flavonoid deficiency syndrome?
Yes, it is. Diabetes is a symptom of a disease. The disease is a lack of flavonoids.
So the lack of flavonoids and the excess carbs make it worse.
Well, carbs make this much worse. They exacerbate this terribly because refined carbs are a poison. And you're dumping this on top of an already system that doesn't have enough flavonoids. So you're already in trouble because you're not getting enough flavonoids, and then you're in double trouble because you're getting all these carbs. I don't want to say that you can just take flavonoids and then eat all you want of these carbs. No, you need to stay away from that. You need to have a good diet. You need to not have excess carbs, especially refined carbs, but you should take these flavonoids. So stay away from both. Have the flavonoids. Stay away from those refined carbs, which makes everything worse.
Right. So, Dr. Joe, I mean, you're very prominent, both as an inventor of Emulin, the world's first carb manager, and as a 2-time Nobel Prize nominee. Are you going to forward this to the authorities, regulators, in terms of re-looking at diabetes as a flavonoid deficiency disease or syndrome?
Yes, I actually am working to get scheduled to speak at the World Diabetes Congress this fall, and I'm going to propose this. This is a pretty major step here, that diabetes is just a symptom that we're playing around with. The underlying cause is not enough flavonoids, not enough Emulin.
Right. And, in the published study that you conducted, where you compared Emulin with metformin, I thought that was a very brave move, to take natural plant compounds and then compare them against the most prescribed anti-diabetic medication on the planet. Could you just go through the thoughts behind that and just quickly summarize the findings of that and how they apply to everybody who's on this call?
I'm not against all drugs all the time. There is a place for drugs. But particularly when we're talking about diabetes, the drugs that we have available are artificially trying to control the system. So metformin shuts down the body's ability to make its own sugar. That's the number one way that metformin works. Your body, if it thinks it doesn't have enough sugar, it will make its own sugar. If you already have high blood sugar and your body recognizes that as normal because that's how it's been with you for so long, if you do anything to try to change that high blood sugar, your body will make more sugar to replace it. You don't even have to eat sugar. It can make it out of other things. And so metformin inhibits that system and prevents your body from making sugar, and therefore your blood sugar lowers. That's a totally artificial system. And I had the good fortune, and that's how a lot of discoveries are made, is through just You work hard, but then you have luck happen to you. One of the original investors in our company has diabetes, and his personal physician is his cousin, and his cousin is head of the diabetes unit at the University of Texas, San Antonio. Dr. Ralph DeFranzo. And Dr. Ralph DeFranzo is the scientist that invented metformin. And I went up and talked to him. I wanted him to be a scientific advisor at our company. And I told him what we had discovered, and that you had to manage carbohydrates and flavonoids. This group of flavonoids was also causing less inflammation. And I laid out my story to him. We had not yet coined the term flavonoid deficiency disease or flavonoid deficient syndrome, but the ideas were there. And I laid them out on a paper and said, these are the points that I think that are bringing us to the conclusion that diabetes is a result of not having this diet correct, not enough flavonoids. And he told me he'd been thinking the same thing, that he had not put all the points together like we had, but he was thinking along those same lines. And he suggested that we go head to head with metformin, the number one prescribed drug in the world for diabetes. So,
and that was invented by him, right?
Yes.
He was the inventor of metformin. Okay.
Dr. Ralph DeFranzo, yes, working with Bristol Myers Squibb. He was the one who introduced that drug to the world. And so we went ahead and did this test, actually, right across the street from the University of Texas at DGG Clinical Laboratories, which are recognized as the premier diabetic clinic in the world. We had the clinical done right there by the University of Texas, and Dr. Ralph DeFranzo was the advisor on that. We had from our point of view, though, we supplied the product completely blind. We did not tell them, here is Emulin. We sent them just unmarked bottles of Emulin, unmarked bottles of placebo. And we had two groups of people. One of them were on metformin, and the other group was on nothing. So we were able to test with and without metformin. And the first thing that showed up was Emulin by itself did a better job than metformin.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
We had the doctor that actually did the study, did a quote in the New York Times, actually, about that. It was about 2009. He said, this is a real breakthrough, that here we have a natural product, Emulin, that outperforms metformin, the most prescribed drug in the world for diabetes. In fact, the United Nations has named metformin as one of the top 10 drugs that the world cannot do without.
Of all time, yes, correct.
So we did that without, and then with those people that were already on metformin, of course, it just did even better. And so if you are on a drug for diabetes or any drug, and you take Emulin, you need to watch your blood sugar, because you're going to get better. You're going to get healed, and you won't need those drugs. And so the Emulin itself cannot cause any problems. But as you find yourself healthy, you'll find out that you don't need those drugs. So I do tell people, consult with your physician, consult with your healthcare professional.
Yes, always with a doctor in attendance. Absolutely, the doctor must be involved.
But most people don't follow that advice. They just go ahead and quit the Byetta, quit the insulin, quit the metformin, and they're on Emulin. And Emulin is not a drug that they replaced another drug with. That's what's interesting. They should have already been on Emulin. If they had been on Emulin from birth, as part of their natural diet, they would have never have gotten diabetes. Diabetes is completely preventable because it's a symptom of you not having enough flavonoids. So have the flavonoids, you won't get diabetes. It's similar also to obesity. Obesity has been now, and I'm not talking about being overweight, but obesity is now recognized as a disease. And I think that's unfortunate because it's not a disease. It's just like diabetes. It's a symptom of an underlying problem of you not having enough of these flavonoids. And just like Rena has mentioned, and like our study has shown, you lose weight. It's not because it's something that causes you not to have an appetite, or it's not a fat burner. It's not something artificial. It's what you should have had all along. And once you get enough in your body, you'll see these remarkable changes.
Okay, Dr. Joe, just before we go to the Q&A, talk a bit about gallic acid. You were saying it's the most primitive flavanol and the most abundant in nature, correct?
Yes, gallic acid is the most primitive. That means it was one of the very first natural molecules made by plants, one of the very first flavonoids. And so as humans came on the scene, and that's what they were eating, and that's what their bodies were first accustomed to, was that flavonoid, gallic acid. Now, gallic acid is everywhere. It's in all the trees. It's in tree bark. It's the stuff that causes rivers to be brown. It's in tea, in coffee. It's in all plants. It's stronger in plants that are in the tropics. And I would like to point out that here in America, the Native Americans used to, and still do, drink water, the brown water, for good health, to keep healthy. They not only drink, of course, clean, fresh water, but they drink that swamp water, if you will, that brown water for health. It's just full of gallic acid. That is what the brown is. It's gallic acid. It's brown when exposed to oxygen. And so it's already everywhere. But again, in your diet, you're not getting enough of it. There's just no way you could consume enough. We don't eat what we used to eat. And the foods that we did used to eat, we don't do that anymore. You know, in the ancient days, people used to do things like chew oak bark. They would chew because they knew it was good for them. They didn't know why, but they knew that when they did, they stayed healthy. And that's really what we've done, is we've captured that very ancient flavonoid, one of the very first ones, the one that fits us the best. We've captured that technology now and have put it into Emulin E. So as good as Emulin was, it's even better. It's
okay. Dr. Joe,
perfect for you.
Yeah, since we launched Emulin E, there have been some people, it's very few, but still, you know, we want to also hear them out, who come back to me and say, look, you know, I tried Emulin M, it was better. I tried Emulin C, it was better. Emulin E doesn't work as well. Your comments, please.
Well, what I find out is that, you know, the bottles do say 2 capsules a day. And the first thing I find out is that they were taking maybe 4 or 6 capsules of M or C, and then they go on to E and they take the 2 capsules, and they're going to see a change. I say, first of all, take whatever dose you were taking. You know, when you do first start out on Emulin, you probably need to take more than just 2 capsules a day, because you need to saturate your body. Your body has been without these flavonoids ever since you were born, and you need to get a certain amount back into your tissue as nature intended. So you do need to probably take more than just 2, maybe 4. Some people I even recommend, look, take 6, and once you're stabilized, once you've gotten balanced, then you can cut to the 2. So first of all, people were taking quite a bit of Emulin M, and then when they went to E, they didn't take as much. That's one problem. The second problem is just really not understanding what the difference between M and E is. We have not changed the myricetin, chlorogenic acid, and the quercetin. They're all three of them still in there. We've added gallic acid. So I can't quite understand scientifically why we add gallic acid and now they say it doesn't work as well. I think they're probably just not taking enough product. And if they think they're not getting enough of whatever was in Emulin M, take more Emulin E.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's important to understand that in Emulin M and C, it was 250 milligrams per capsule. In E is 375. So 3 capsules of Emulin M is equal to 2 capsules of Emulin E. However, most people were taking 4 a day, and therefore when they went to just 2E, they were reducing their dose by 33%, and therefore they would feel that is not as good, right? So you could go 3 initially of Emulin E, or just 3 and 2. One day 3, the other day 2, so you get about 1,000 milligrams of Emulin.
I would also tell you that there is such thing as a placebo effect, and we are humans. And when there's a change, even in the brand name, we think that it's changed inside us. And I mean, it can be real. It's not. I'm not saying it's fake to a person, but there's a placebo effect. But when in our test, when we have given people unmarked bottles of Emulin, whether they're M or they're E, they do better on the E if they don't know what it is.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Joe. There's some questions coming. Let me answer them let me question them one by one and you can respond, yeah? From Jody, she says, I have a client that has, as soon as she drinks coffee, she gets diarrhea, and I was wondering if Emulin E would be okay for her. She is scared to try because of this.
We have to say on the bottles where we get these compounds that I told you about: myricetin, quercetin, chlorogenic acid, and gallic acid. And so we have to call them extract. For myricetin, it's extract of grapes, and chlorogenic acid, extract of coffee or extract of tea, and quercetin, extract of onion. We have to say that, they are not coffee, they are not tea, they're not grapes. They only have those pure compounds in there. So the problem that they're having with coffee has nothing to do with the compounds that are in Emulin, even though we say extracted from green coffee. It's not coffee. There's no caffeine in there. There's none of the other catechins in there. There's just chlorogenic acid. We could have easily have gotten chlorogenic acid from honeysuckle flowers, as an example. But we chose to get it from green coffee beans because it's a good source, a healthy source, and it's considered a food. So we are getting it from green coffee beans. So there's no problem at all with her taking it. And besides, on the top of that, I'll tell anybody, look, go ahead and take a couple of capsules. You'll know immediately. And if there is a problem, don't take it. But I can say that because I know there will not be a problem. There's nothing in myricetin that can cause any type of intestinal distress. In fact, it is in the scientific literature that the components of Emulin will cause good gastro health.
Okay. Dr. Joe, another question from Kelly. Would Emulin help eczema? And if so, why?
Well, eczema is another one of these diseases that actually are a symptom of not having enough flavonoids. But in particular on this, eczema is an autoimmune disease where your skin breaks down. And for the for any type of skin disorder, I encourage people to take excess amount of Emulin, because the excess migrates to your skin and it will stop the inflammation and it will stop the beta cells from destroying your own skin. And furthermore, it shuts down the production of hydrogen peroxide, which is doing most of the damage. So you can protect yourself from eczema, psoriasis, and any disease like that, and also even sunburn.
Okay, related to this, Dr. Joe, we've got Elaine saying, I increased my son's Emulin to 3 capsules per day, and his acne is improving.
Well, acne also is an autoimmune disease. You know, it used to be thought that it was just too much fat in the diet and changes in adolescence. And, you know, that is what's going on in adolescence. You're having a change. Your hormones are changing. And your immune system gets out of balance. And you end up providing 2 things happening. You have excess oil production, for sure. And that's because of an inflammatory response. And you also then have provided an excellent environment for bacteria that are the main culprits in acne. So when you take Emulin, it shuts down that out of balance immune response, puts you back into a balance.
Okay, next question. What is the source of gallic acid from Harlequin? What's the source of gallic acid?
I think currently we're using oak.
That's right, non-gall oak, correct.
We're using oak galls.
Yeah.
You can get it from all types of places, but it's really the best place I know to get it right now is from oak galls. This also is in line with the idea that Native Americans used to actually chew oak bark in order to give themselves good health.
Okay, Debbie Ward says she likes very much the way you have defined diabetes as a flavanol deficiency disease, and she asked whether you'll be writing up a short paper as a guide for everybody, especially pregnant mothers and kids.
Yeah, we sure will be writing that up, because I actually have to present a paper on that. And as that becomes available and I get other scientists to, because they're going to attack us on that, because we're changing the paradigm here. This is a new concept, and there's going to be a tremendous pushback, but there's no doubt about it. It's going to show itself to be true. And I will have to write up some papers on that, and I will work to put that in layperson's terms so it can be available to us.
Thank you very much. Michelle, there is some confusion about Emulin E and radiation therapy. Dr. Ahrens recommends suspending it during radiation. For what reason?
Well, because Emulin will protect all cells in the body from radiation damage. Just like I mentioned earlier, you can actually prevent sunburn from stopping the damage from UV radiation. And so we don't want during the irradiation treatment, we don't want to protect cancer cells. So, radiation is not, just like chemotherapy, radiation therapy is not pleasant. We're trying to kill the cancer cells, but unfortunately it does damage other parts of our body at the same time. So in order for the radiation therapy to be completely effective during the time of radiation treatment, we recommend you do not take Emulin, because it does such a good job of protecting from radiation damage.
Okay. Michelle asked again, dogs are not supposed to have onion and grapes. Is Emulin safe for dogs?
It is very safe for dogs. I give my daughters give their dogs Emulin, and I just recently had a guy tell me a German shepherd who got rid of the problems with hip dysplasia that shepherds have, which was basically, you know, from that damage, there's lots of inflammation. I go back to saying that these products, we extract them from grapes and onions and green coffee beans and oak, but they are not a gross extract. It's not just ground up grapes or ground up grape seeds or grape peels. We've actually extracted this specific molecule, the pure myricetin. And so there's nothing else that comes with it. There's none of the part in the grape that causes those problems to those dogs.
Okay, now Brittany McDonald asks, I no longer have any PMS symptoms since taking Emulin, not a single symptom. How do hormones and flavonoids correlate? And why has this fallen? Only asked it because a few customers have asked me.
It's back to the autoimmune problem, just like with adolescence. When you shift and your hormones shift, and that happens, you know, during adolescence, and it happens during menstruation, and it happens in menopause. We have a shift in hormones, and that shift unbalances our immune system. And from that immune problem, we get these other symptoms that we often talk about that go along with these. It's not just the hormones that are causing these issues. It's the whole body's immune system being out of balance. They will eventually rebalance themselves, but it could take years, especially in the case of menopause. But Emulin will rebalance your immune system. If you had flavonoids in your diet, how you should have, then we would never have such severe problems with acne, with menstrual conditions, with your menstruation, and we would not have the other types or changes of life. We would not have these problems. So we are not artificially treating these conditions, you know, not like taking an aspirin. We are giving the body what it should have had, and therefore these symptoms aren't expressed because the disease condition doesn't exist anymore, and that disease is flavonoid deficient disease.
Okay, Dr. Joe, we've got 3 minutes. I've got 2 questions, then I'll pass it back to Rena. Will someone taking insulin with needles be able to take Emulin E, and how will it help them?
Well, they're taking insulin because the doctors didn't know what to do. If it's type 2 diabetes, it's actually ridiculous to give insulin because you're insulin insensitive. So why are we giving more insulin? You're insensitive to it. And the Emulin makes the body sensitive to insulin again. It rebalances it, puts it back where it should have been. You are insulin insensitive, which means you're type 2 diabetic, because of 2 reasons. First of all, you were flavonoid deficient, and secondly, you had too many refined carbohydrates. If you get rid of the refined carbohydrates, some of the problem will go away, but the underlying problem is still there, which is you don't have enough flavonoids. Put the flavonoids back in your diet, you'll become insulin sensitive again, and you won't need the insulin. Therefore, you will need to cut back on your insulin. Because as you get healthy, it'd be like giving a healthy person insulin, and they could get hypoglycemic. They could have not enough blood sugar. Again, consult with your healthcare professional. Do this under monitoring. I had a lady that had heard about Emulin, and she was on an insulin pump. And I warned her, check with your doctor, because you're going to get healthy from Emulin, and you won't need that much insulin. Well, she didn't do it. What she did is she just dialed back her pump herself without going to the doctor. She still had some insulin being pumped in, but she dialed it back. But she didn't dial it back enough and went into shock the next day. And that's why I tell you, consult with your physician. The Emulin will not cause any problems, but you will be like a healthy person taking insulin. The same thing with Byetta, the same thing with metformin. Monitor your blood level, your blood sugar level. And as your body rebalances and your body takes up these flavonoids like it should have had it all along, then you will not need that medication.
Okay, the last question before I pass it back to Rena. What is your comment about Emulin and alcohol intake?
Well, alcohol chemically is very similar to sugar. And Emulin will do two things. First of all, everybody needs the flavonoids. That will make you in good health. That means you'll have a healthier liver. It also means, though, that Emulin still, as part of its function, is a carbohydrate manager, and it ends up being an alcohol manager. People that take Emulin report that alcohol does not have as strong as effect on them. They do not become inebriated with as much. And also, they don't have hangovers. It's because of proper alcohol processing. So I'm not recommending you take a bunch of Emulin and then drink all you want. I'm saying that Emulin will help alcohol processing, and those people that are sensitive to alcohol, it will allow them to take a drink or two, like my own daughter, who was very sensitive to alcohol. She couldn't even take a glass of wine without getting sick. And Emulin allowed her to go out with her husband and have that glass of wine on their anniversary. So Emulin goes hand in hand with drinking alcohol, but you should certainly drink alcohol in moderation.
Okay, Dr. Joe, brilliant. Thank you so much, Dr. Joe, for your time today. He was calling all the way from Puerto Rico. And I'm going to pass this back to Rena, but I just want to answer a question by John Turner. Yes, this is recorded. This webinar has been recorded and will be available for you at the back office. Rena, over to you.
Thanks so much for that, you guys. We really appreciate the transparency of our products, and I am 100% with you, Dr. Joe. The testimonies for me are what makes what we do so rewarding, and I know that Dr. Regin's vision has come to fruition. So thank you, Dr. Regin, Dr. Ahrens. Both of you guys are the heart of the company, and we are so honored to have you guys lead the company, have CEOs and scientists like you guys. Jacqueline, you are the connector for all of us, so thank you for all of your work in making these meetings happen, and I'm so excited for these to happen every 2 weeks. In closing, for those of you on this call, and especially for the new distributors, I just want you to know that this opportunity is real, that the people behind this company are real, and the science is real and simple. And I want you to know that all of you guys are the engine of iGalen, and we appreciate everything that you guys do for the people, for your communities. And the success truly of iGalen is dependent on the success of each of you. And we've got your back 100%. And I can't wait to look back in 5, 10, and even 20 years and say, wow, we were part of history and part of saving our nation's healthcare dollars. So be really proud of the company you're with, because there's no coincidence that you're on this call. You have a life's purpose, and to truly live it out, you've got to be at your 100% optimum health, and that is where iGalen has stepped in. And I hope you guys have a great night. Make sure you're taking advantage of the spring promo. Connect with your sponsor ASAP, and thank you again for all of this. I hope you guys took lots of notes and just get out there and share this. So blessings to you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Rena. Thank you.